new releases coming out, keep an eye out. If you have a really good idea, please let me know. Sometimes the easiest ideas can be very simple to implement. As it's quite fast, you come up with a new graph or a new way of looking at something, you can go back and regenerate all your data and get the new graph for everything. It's just corn shell. It's quite big, but it's quite simple to understand. I've even commented it. If you hack it, can you send me a before and after copy? Then it's easier for me to spot the differences and where you've changed things. It may be possible in the future that we can actually live graph data as input generating it on the fly. We'll have to think about that one a bit. Most of all, have fun. And if you like this video, then please click the like thumbs up button below. Hello there, I'm Arturus, I work with IBM Power Systems. In this hardware management console version 8 crash course, we now got to part 6, where we're going to upgrade the HMC itself and the firmware on the Power 8 machines. First we'll check what version of HMC we're currently at. This is 840, it's got 1588. This is the latest service pack. So click on the HMC update function, bring it up a little bit, and hit the next. We've got a FTP server. I've downloaded 3 service packs all into one directory, so we're going to look at this in a minute. It needs the FTP server details in here. It's on my machine for stock reasons, it's called Purple 3. Secret password, and then we put in here the directory where I dump the files. So it's logging into the FTP, looking at those files, deciding if they're okay to install. Does some checks on them, so it takes a little while. Okay, there's the 3. The first 2 I've installed already and had to reboot after each of those. Select that 1601 and hit the next and confirm I want to proceed right now with the finish button. You can see in the pop-up there's a timer running, 10 seconds now. It's going to take a little while to again check those files just in case they change, and then I'll get on with the installation. It's worth watching that little elapsed time there. When that stops is when it's actually finished. Sometimes it's not so easy to notice that it's finished. Okay, it's happy about these. This is the 1601 that we asked for. It's an ISO image. There's a couple of other little files. It's installing the packages. This is good. Unfortunately, the rest of the information slides off the bottom, so we can't actually see what's going on unless we drag down that little bar there. Doesn't take too long. 3 minutes or something like that. Notice we're now over the 2 minutes elapsed progress time. Okay, got up to 2 minutes 24 seconds, so they went down to 1 minute 19 seconds. I can't say I understand that. It said successful at the bottom, and it says it really wants to reboot now. So you've probably got a pair of HMCs. We're probably going to do that right now. So let's close that window. I'll reboot the HMC. It'll actually reboot itself. And skipped a bit of time, about 5 to 6 minutes or something. To boot up, and there we have the 1601 is now installed. That's the HMC updated. We can see on the update panel here that it doesn't know which particular fixes you've got. That's over here with the HMC management. We hover over that line. Down in here, I'll scroll to the bottom. We have our older machines in here, the Power 6 and Power 7s. They have their own streams of software in here, and you can see the AL 730s and 40s and the even older 350. Up in here where the service level for the system firmware is 840, although if you look at this one here, that's our review machine at 850, the 840 firmware didn't come out at the same time as the others, and we're expecting that in another 10 days, so we'll have to do an upgrade at that point. Here though we got the 840 and, if you like, subversion 33. I checked on Fix Central and 56 is now out, and looking through the details there on Fix Central, the spectrum document, you can see read me loads and loads of exciting new features that we actually want to go and test, and then probably increase the reliability of our machines and all sorts of things. So I'm going to upgrade our line machine here. It's an S822, as you can see here. Now select button. Things we're interested in is these two in here. If you were going from 840 to 850, then this would be a new release. We're adding fixes to our current release. We're going to take this one. Here, to me, these both sound pretty similar, but that's the difference between the two. When we go into here, it's going to do this system readiness check. Let's make sure that you haven't got any ghastly current problems with the machine, in which case it will refuse to upgrade you, because that may aggravate what you've already got going wrong. So we're going to click on here. Okay, so we're going to select the start to the wizard, and FTP site. That's lucky. We can actually get it go straight to the IBM website if you're on the internet. Very few people read directly on the internet with the HMCs, but and my machine is actually called 3 user, and my password is right. Accessing mounted system, no, not that, and that's the wrong place. So that's the last time I did something. So my directory is this one here. And we'll OK that. We'll go on to look at that directory for what's available. Okay, that's the internal readiness check, no errors, that's good. This is the good sign, it didn't worry me a great deal. No errors, not errors found. Then we're going to be asked to carry on. Okay, now when we do upgrades, they come in various flavours. There's non-disruptive upgrades where we can just add them and then new functions become available. There are some that are disruptive, which means we have to power off to get those things activated, and there's some that are what are called deferred, where we can add them and they'll be picked up on the next reboot, and you are encouraged to do a reboot at least a amount of time, which enables extra RAS features. I've made sure that my line machine has all the virtual machines taken off it, so we can do a reboot if necessary. Do the next and carry on. To accept it, well, got another choice, and it's warning you bright fluorescent red in here that this will be a disruptive install. Okay, now I've only selected one machine in this case, so it's only going to do it on the one machine. This means I think if you're doing on multiple machines at the same time, we have got hundreds of machines, so we tend to do one at a time. Telling you here to stop your applications while we're doing this operation. Need to select that one there and then hit finish button, and it asks me again, okay, to start the disruptive operation. Yes. So here it's going to back up some of the profile data, and it has to be safe, and it means another OK, so we'll do that. The HMC then proceeds to power off the Power 8 CPUs, but it did warn us that it's going to copy all the files down from the HMC to the service processor. They all have very odd names and various sizes. It activates those updates onto the FSP, The FSP is actually a power processor. It's one of those embedded power processors, very popular in the industry. It's actually running a cut-down version of Linux inside it, but that's by the way. It then restarts the FSP so that it's running the new code. Part of that is actually putting the new hypervisor code onto the machine as well, ready for the Power 8 processor to be powered up. The HMC shows the new firmware level and then it powers the machine back up. This all took 24 minutes. Now don't worry, I'm not going to force you to watch all that. I'm going to cut a big chunk out the movie and get back to the finish point. See the whole thing is completed, updates added to more, but it's not good. Well, it's nice to take less time than you were expecting. I guess if you want to wait for lunchtime, you come back. Anyway, we're all done. This looks good, and we powered back up, and we can see the 56 minutes to do. Okay there. And it's asking to do something else. No. Well, that's the end of the video about upgrading the HMC and the Power 8 firmware. Part 7 will be looking into service management, where we'll be looking at HMC recorded events on the machines and what we can do about those and fix them up. If you like this video, then please click on the like icon below. Hello, I'm Nigel Griffiths, I work at IBM. In this hardware management console 8 crash course, we got to part 5, HMC management. Hi, well, welcome back. I assume you were looking at the Create a Virtual Machine video a moment ago. And here's the actual LPAR VM100 that we created there. I did a minimum install and put it onto the network once it booted up. That took me 7 minutes. By minimum, I mean that I skipped X Windows, very rarely use that these days, and I skipped all those device drivers that it was to install. This one has a virtual network and it has virtual SCSI. The VIO server knows that that's connected to a shared storage pool, but the virtual machine doesn't, and it's got virtual optical. So life's really simple. We can keep layouts really small and it installs a bit quicker. But enough of that now. We're going to look at HMC management, and this is all down in here in HMC management. So we're going to click through the user interface in here until you see all the things we can do with our HMC. Now remember, a HMC is a locked down appliance. You can't get to the underlying Linux to fiddle about with the operating system and all the regular Linux commands. We can only do things that are on this interface, all the commands, and the commands are almost identical to what we can actually do here. We have a couple of extra ones if you want to fiddle about on the command line. If we hover over this, then we can see some details about the HMC. We can see serial numbers and things. This is a CR8 in here. There's a CR9 out now. I call this the 840 version of the HMC, and that matches the, if you want a Power 8 machine, the 840 system firmware. Other people call it 8840, and some people even say the V8R840, all a waste of time. Let's call it the 840. You can also see down here that we got sort of fixes applied to this particular release. So further on down we have review console events. If you're interested in auditing what's going on in your HMC, then that's useful. It can take quite a while to open if it's very busy. The next one, shutting down or restart. Do make sure the restart is clicked. If you just click on the shutdown and hit OK, it will shut down the HMC and it will stay down. I'm 50 miles away from the computer, but it's a real drag turning up to press the button to get the HMC running again. If you do it on the command line, you have to type in the -R option, otherwise it goes down and stays down. Okay, schedule operations I'll come back to later. Format a USB drive. Come on, we can do that in a laptop or something, can't we? Okay, we back up critical data. This is for recovering a HMC if the complete machine fails. And you can see on the screen in here, we can back it up to an internal disk, we can put it onto a remote system, or back it up to a remote site. I tend to use like an FTP server, and include the performance and monitoring data. If you're using that, you can put that as well. That will increase the size, of course. It will then ask you for the details of your remote server. So the remote server then obviously is looking for NFS and the remote site. Let's go back to that again. The remote site, perhaps that's the... And there's the FTP. Probably use the secure FTP out of choice. Very simple to operate, less to go wrong. Okay, and then if you recover your HMC, maybe install it off the base DVD again, then restore, of course, will bring back that data. It will then remember everything about itself. You have to build the network, of course, to get the data back on, unless you're using some sort of media. The save upgrade data, this is used when you're upgrading between the HMC versions. That actually saves it to the disk. Some of the large updates completely overwrite the HMC software, and then it will pick up the data back out of that partition on the disk. Change network settings, well, you did something in here similar when you did the initial setup. On the network side, you can see here, this is my IP address for me to log in, and this is the IP address that's the private network down the back of the machines to the service processor. I click on that one. You can see it's got a range here of addresses, 64,000 addresses. Seems a little excessive. 64 machines is the maximum. We've got firewall settings in here. We tend to activate all the possible different ports that it's using for different servers and things. We tend to activate them all. If you have very strict security requirements, then you can not do some of these. SNMP, for example, is pretty low level. Maybe you don't want to bother with those. Out here we got the naming service for DNS and the routing for our nothing too scary in there. If you change that, you do tend to have to reboot. Testing network connectivity. Oh, this is really exciting. This gives you the ability to do a ping. When you do a ping in here, it does actually collect a whole load of information that you probably can't get to the commands that do that if you log in for the command line interface. So some of these things you probably recognise as netstat outputs and things like that. And this might just save you actually have to go off and do that. The sort of commands to work out if there's a routing, for example. You can see how it's been set up. In here we got network topology, and it's going to go off and discover that. Okay, we'll let that run and we'll come back to that later. We have a quick tip of the day. And you can hit the next one. Some of these are quite useful to you, picking up some skills of what's in here. And if you click this on, then every time you log in, it will give you a tip of the day. You either love that or hate that. I basically hate it, so I'm going to switch it off. Next in here is view licenses. Well, I suppose you can go in there if you want. It's a bit of a record-breaking license. In fact, it all comes out as one-line HTML file, and that line is 30 megabytes in size, and I actually managed to get an editor to take that in, and it said that there's 1,500,000 words. It's a world record. I reckon that if you can read 100 words a minute, that will take you 32 days to read that license. Good luck. The next couple of settings down in here are to change the way the user environment looks like. I use absolutely bog standard, never been in here changing these. We can click on this one, the performance monitoring settings. That can be quite good. And we get this, so this is where it's collecting the data, and we can quickly go down these, selecting them all on before we so that later on we can come and collect the data and see the graphs on the screen. So that was a quick dodge. That's particularly good. I'm going to click the all on, I suppose. In here we have the time and date, so we can change that. It's not rocket science. This is the guided setup. Again, this is the one that you do only once. Don't go through it a second time. You have to type in all your details all over again. Earlier on we looked at this view network topology, and eventually came back. It took quite a while, and this is looking at the network from the HMC's point of view. So it says some nodes fail. I think this is because it has 4 Ethernet connections on a HMC, 2 of which are not actually connected, so it says no link. That's fair enough. And then it says ETH1 here is full duplex. That's good, and it's running at 1 gigabit. That's good. Just to make sure that's actually happening. And then it's got all the LPARs in here. And I should have said that, yeah, the first one here, this is running on my systems administration network, the way I actually talk to it and get this user interface up. Then it goes through all the virtual machines in here, so you can see VM95 has 95 at the end, just as we expect, and it tells you the machine type on the model number and the serial number on the back in here. So some useful information in here. It actually says that it's in this machine it is virtual adapter 7, and it goes through all the different things in here. If you look at a VO server, then I can kind of find out the address being used there. If we scan further down here, this is F0, so this is the private network running to the service processors. Again, we can see that's running at full speed. That's good. Here's the actual address of the HMC, and of course it's given itself a .1 address. Then it has the machines in here and the service processor, the FSP in here. This is the actual address that the service processor has been allocated via DHCP. So that can be quite useful information, and then we have page after page of that. We also have in here that the LPARs aren't on that network in my configuration. They could be different elsewhere. And it says it has got an IP address onto the private LAN, which is as I completely expected. So although it takes up quite a long time to come up, it's actually quite a lot of useful information to see how the HMC is connected. I'll close that now. Let's carry on. Scroll down, we have a change user password. This is my password I can change in here. This is how I create new users. And I've just noticed in here, oops, slightly too small, because my font size is up a bit. If I want to create a new user, let's add my colleague, user ID, Gareth, and this is Gareth, password. Just have to go and tell him what it is when he logs in later on. I can put an expiry date so that we'll time out. We can do LDAP and Kerberos as well. We're going to do that in a small crash and burn environment. All resources in here so that all machines he can have access to. And yeah, just hidden slightly below here, this is the super admin that gets all the privileges that you actually want in here. We can have other task roles. We'll look at how to set those up in a second. Unfortunately, you have to go to these user properties in here if we wanted to allow him to log in over the network. And so we have to nip there and back. We'll OK that. Then we come back and we can OK that and create a new user. Okay, get gas here. And yep, we have to go up in here to actually exit. We could do copy, for example, the whole load of users are exactly the same, just change their IDs and things. Okay, let's exit out of that. One down in here are these resource roles, and so we can create new roles in resources in here. So we can put an add in, and so we can allow this new role. Do something, and we can specify particular machines or particular LPARs that are in here, so we can allow them to have at this node, so that they can log in and manage these two particular LPARs and nothing else. So then we can allow a person to access these particular resources and none of the others, perhaps to limit the damage or to control what's going on. We could select on all these machines perhaps all the database servers, for example, so we'd have an administrator that's allowed to start and stop those servers, but none of the errors. I'll cancel out of that, as I don't really want that. In here we have users and tasks. This is what's running at the moment. And whoa, that's too big to fit on the screen, so there's a lot of things on here. This is my PowerVC. And the manage users and tasks, and you see this is my current one here. It actually says up here, this is my session. This isn't actually true, they need to fix this sometime. PowerVC is coming over as a REST API, it should say REST API in here. But if you've got old users sticking around, then you can get rid of them. If PowerVC was shut down or something, I can go in here and hit log off and shut these sessions down. If I was somebody was logged in here and I wanted to disconnect them so that they could reconnect on a different terminal or something, or a different laptop, then we could use the disconnect to do the same sort of thing here. And if we've got something actual window that's locked up or something, then we could go in here and terminate it. Not very clean way of stopping things. And you just notice there that every now and again it updates this list of processes that are running. And get a bit frustrating if you didn't click a few and didn't get to the log off button, and it redisplays the whole lot. Down in here we have more security things. I can't say I play in here at all. Managing security and certificates. These are switches in here. That's just a simple thing whether you want to enable those. By default, when you first install a HMC, this will be pushed off. We want them on, so we have to go and click on all of these to enable remote execution, remote terminals, and remote operation. Language locale is fairly obvious. Oh, the welcome text. We could have something in here. So when you log in, it'll actually give you this message up on the screen. Not bother with that. We can also have replication data. This is the HMCs find out about each other, and so when you add particular things into one of the HMCs, you'll find it appearing on the other ones. This is a fairly complicated area because you can set it up as one master HMC, and it flushes changes to the others. You have to remember to go onto that HMC to put the updates in, or you can have mutual updating, so any one of the HMCs, if you add particular features, then it will get spread to the other ones. Probably another movie in its own right. These last two down the bottom, we have installation resources. You can use the HMC to do the installing of AIX, and we can do the same sort of thing with installing your VIO servers. Now, if you're not using your own NIM server, then this is a way, perhaps in the smaller environments, you've only got a handful of machines and you don't know anything about NIM, then you can use your HMC as a NIM server. And in here we can add, and we've got AIX in here and some copies of SLES and the VIO server. Has some, notice this didn't work before. It may be something to do with this particular browser. If we blindly click it, we can see we have AX7 for example, and we can either create a local resource in here, or we could define a resource on a NIM server and then ask the HMC to kick off the NIM server to do the install. Again, we don't tend to do this. We're very happy running NIM servers to install copies of AIX and the VIO servers from scratch. In here, the VIO server, a similar sort of thing. It's going to import the image, and you can get from various places, including the actual DVD in the front of the HMC. And you'll give it a VIO server 224 or something for the version number, and then you can push those out. In fact, when you create a VIO server logical partition, when you start it up, it says, do you want to do an install? And it assumes that you've got the image set up in here so that you can do it. This is actually, the HMC is running Linux, so this is known as NIMOL, so it's Network Installation Manager on Linux is being used. Okay, we've run out of things on my list in here. That's it for this movie. If you enjoyed part 5, why not click on the liked icon below, the thumbs up. In part 6, we'll be looking at upgrading the HMC itself and upgrading the firmware on the power machines. Hi, I'm Nigel Griffiths. In this Hardware Management Console 8 Crash Course Part 4, we'll be looking at creating a virtual machine, plumbing it all together and booting it off a virtual DVD. Well, if you want to create a new virtual machine or LPAR, then we have to select which machine it's on. So we've clicked the machine, Ruby in this case, my E850 Power 8, and we're going to go into Operations, Configuration, Create a Partition. This machine isn't enabled for IBM I, we haven't got the license, so we've got AIX Linux or the VO server. If you hit IBM I, you enter a whole new ballgame there. I know nothing about that. So we're going to use machine 100. You can select some of these options, don't normally, although I'm tempted with the remote restartable, is quite useful. That does stop you having any physical adapters inside the logical partition. Drag this out a bit. The first profile name, we tend to use normal, but whatever you want to call these in here. In the Power 4 or 5 days, we only had profiles, and if we wanted to increase the size of an LPAR, then we'd have to stop it and start a different profile for CPUs in the profile. These days we can do it dynamically, so people tend to have one profile, maybe a backup copy of it just in case. Most guys these days are using a shared processor so that unused CPU cycles can be used by somebody else. Some people were still using the older fashioned, may I say, dedicated CPUs, and it tends to be an expensive way to operate your Power 8 box. There are reasons. If you're going for absolute extreme performance, then dedicated can give you a little bit extra. So we'll go shared, and we get slightly different panels coming up now. If we go shared and if we go dedicated, here are what we call the entitlement numbers. So we go down to a minimum. Let's say we don't want to do anything less than 2 CPUs. This is for a database. If it goes down to 2, we can't actually operate